selectmen and the Board of Selectmen, we make sure that the government in the town of Thompson runs properly.
The company as a whole is retail building materials to the general public and to contractors.
I'm the EMS lieutenant, EMT here.
We're really just here for customer service to take people's deposits and do withdrawals, transfers. We also do loan applications and open new accounts.
I am Vice President of Sales for wholesale sales. What that means is all non-Crabtree-Evelyn stores.
We assist people and organizations in buying and or selling residential homes, commercial businesses, commercial properties, investment properties, as well as land.
This company teaches children of all ages to dance.
Well, West Martial Arts is a family-oriented achievement center. So we work on teaching the concepts of, fitness, strength, flexibility, cardiovascular fitness, the philosophy of life skills, being respectful, having good concentration, becoming black belts in life, not just in martial arts.
We have a few companies, Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, Raceway Golf Club and Restaurant, banquet facility, and also Don Honing Snow Fighters, LLC.
So my official title is Recreation Director for the town of Thompson. So that involves planning activities for all ages in the community, also being involved in parks, the upkeep and then the planning of new parks.
We basically make materials for catheters. We put radiopaque fillers in them so they can be checked, they can be followed through the body during surgery.
It starts by checking my email first thing in the morning and come to work here around 9 o'clock in the morning, weekdays. Usually work 6 days a week. But I love doing what we're doing, so it's not really hard work, although the days are long sometimes.
Typical day is here bright and early, responding to emails and phone messages and just managing the programs that we have day to day, which takes up a good portion because we run a program, an after-school program every day. And then we move right from after school to having kids all summer long, so we really don't have a lot of break. And then we also do many senior citizen programs. 1
minute I could be ordering inventory, a truckload of lumber to come in, and the next minute you're over at the counter helping out a customer or just seeing the customers, customer service, being in front of a customer.
Mm-hmm. In the day of a realtor, there's no typical day. There absolutely is no consistency from one day to the next. And that's part of what I find makes my job so interesting.
It involves meetings with different people that come in there, different commissions, boards, etc. People from the state, people from other towns, they come in, and just different agencies.
We start with checking our rigs every morning, checking all the equipment that's on them, making sure they're stocked, ready to go for the day. We have chores that we do throughout the course of the day, making sure the station's clean, making sure all equipment's up to date, and depending on your schedule, you can either work a 7-hour shift till noontime, or from noon to 7 p.m.
I could be in the morning meeting with a potential client who perhaps wants to consider purchasing a home, then may have to meet an inspector who needs to inspect a property. And so we're in the basement of a house, we are in an attic of a house. I may get a phone call from someone who wants me to walk a piece of land with them.
We teach dance and fitness, and a typical day is setting up before classes, cleaning, or doing any emailing that we need to do to our customers before classes.
And so there's a lot of administrative and planning sessions. There's the marketing side of things. There's the sales side of things. There's there's lots and lots of paperwork, administrative parts. Marketing. So there's a lot of different parts of that. Then we train. Either we train or teach in the morning, and then we do some more office work in the afternoon, and then teaching in the evenings.
So my typical day is coming early, usually before dawn, and opening up all the facilities and organizing my crew and all the employees and telling them what to do for the day.
A typical day here is making sure the schedule goes well, there are no non-conformances, things get shipped out on time. I go to a lot of technical meetings, customer meetings, help out the other engineers.
I have a 4-year Bachelor's of Business Administration with a management concentration from Anna Maria College. I believe a lot of the opportunities that I had when I did an internship at Pepsi Cola, that was the first internship that I had, and the main thing is whenever you get into a business setting is you need people skills.
In this town, we've had a selectman that was a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
We had a selectman that was a diesel truck mechanic. We've had lawyers. We've had school teachers. We've had a selectman that used to sell at a clothing store, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely nothing. If you wanted to join Community Fire Company today, you'd fill out an application, show us that you were completely interested in the type of work that we do. We do on-the-job training here at the station, and then there are more in-depth classes, whether it's a fire career that you're looking for or a medical career. There are different classes that you can take to get certified in the state of Connecticut from there.
Karate instructors get hired like at 16 oftentimes because they've already been in martial arts training for 6 or 8 or 10 years since they were, and so they already know philosophically the message we're trying to get out, and they understand the culture of respect and self-discipline and respect to elders, so that's really important. They understand philosophically how that goes, but then teaching part is a different training program than the learning part, and so we have a whole different certification program for that.
To teach dance classes, you need lots of years of dance training from your dance school or from college. And for fitness, you need to be certified in your classes that you teach.
To become a real estate broker in the state of Connecticut, as well as in the state of Massachusetts, because I'm licensed in both states, you do not have to have a college education. If you do, it's definitely a bonus, but it's not a requirement of the position. What you do have to do is you have to go through some continuing education offered by the state of Connecticut. And it's offered in various locations. Most locally, Quinebaug Valley Community College offers the real estate course.
For my personal job, you need a 4-year degree in college with a major in agronomy or turf science for the agronomic standpoint.
I did actually go to UConn and have a degree from the education department in leisure services.
But obviously, the first step would be the high school education.
Oh, absolutely.
Even for somebody working out in the lumber yard, they've got to have the high school education. You got to have the math. You got to be able to do math. You got to be able to write things down. They're writing up tickets for if somebody's returning a product. They've got to write up a credit memo that has to come back inside. The drivers have to do the same. The drivers have to keep logs. So you've got to have, at a minimum, a high school education.
There is a team that does merchandising concepts. So when we put in different aspects of what we want to do for a store and a promotion, you'll see here, this is kind of the layout room where they'll do merchandising and try to see if it's going to work for a gift table setup, a wall unit presentation. So these are just different kind of like work areas. And then these will end up going into the retail stores or into one of our wholesale accounts around the world.
Because we supervise staff, so there's staffing decisions. We deal with many children's programs, as I mentioned, so we're doing some we have discipline issues to deal with. We have budgets. We form our budget, and we have to manage that and make decisions about spending.
It could be something from a simple decision as best patient care, or a more difficult decision would be best hospital to go to. Where we're located, we have the convenience of several hospitals that we can transport to. Most of our patients will choose Day Kimball, which is where our local protocols are out of. But there are cases where, because we are so close to UMass being a trauma center, if we have any sort of major traumas, we have the right to call medical control and go directly to a trauma center as well.
You know, it's like your budgets, how you spend your money. Things that happen within your regular ongoings of your government. Those are all decisions, like if you see it in the state and you see it in the federal government, it applies to the town, but only in a smaller scale.
I like the Navy SEAL philosophy, the only easy day was yesterday. Because every day is a new challenge, and we're always trying to to grow the business, and so there's always decisions. Some of them are financial, and some of them are if we're going to fix something in the building, because it's a big building and needs we already had HVAC people here today for a couple of hours doing some maintenance, and so there's a lot of managing staff. We have front desk staff, we have cleaning staff, we have instructor staff.
We have to make really hard decisions and really easy decisions depending on the situation. It can go from what color paint that we had to paint at the studio and lead into classes and hiring teachers.
Primarily, we assist our clients in making decisions because really the decision maker in what I do is my client. They're making the decision on whether they want to buy or sell and how much they want to pay for what they're purchasing or how much they want to accept. It depends a lot on maturity, I find, for this job. Yeah. If the person coming in is doing a career change later in life, and I say later in life, like, maybe in their 40s and later, which does happen a lot in my career, oftentimes they will bring a lot of life experiences with them. Most times people at that point in their lives have already bought a home, have already sold a home, maybe already own a business, so they have had to deal with the process and are familiar with it. Many of them have attended town meetings, so they know how the town works and the rules and regulations of the town. When we have a younger person that comes in, most of them are coming in fresh with none of those life experiences. A young person may have lived in a home, that their family owned, but may not have actually experienced the process of buying or selling. So to your point, are the skill sets or the experiences that people bringing in an asset to the job? As a young person, they have to develop those experiences, whereas a more mature person, chances are they're bringing some of the experiences with them.
Yes, typically we look for people who are well-rounded in what they do, and we will not hire anybody unless we feel comfortable in their resumes. It's
a couple of basic ingredients. People have to be self-starters, and so you have to always want to be a little better tomorrow than you were today, and that's the same philosophy we teach in martial arts. And so you have that get up and go attitude, and so one of the good questions is when you finish a task is to ask whoever's supervising you, is there anything I could do in addition to this, or is there anything I need to do better?
I think when you go through high school and whether you go to college, to get the education or get the skills, whether it's in manufacturing, it's industrial, it's in government, it's in teaching, whatever, it's grab a skill that best suits you and go with it.
For a teller position, what we look for, it's nice if you have a little bit of cash handling experience. So working at like a retail store or a fast food restaurant or something helps, because at least you can count money and know how much to give people back and things like that. So it's good to have that basic skill of any sort of cash handling experience.
Great writing skills. Public speaking is very important. To be able to just speak with your fellow employees to explain an idea, or you're meeting before your bosses and you have to communicate. For for instance, we'll be doing budgets coming up, and so we have a meeting tomorrow night that we have to present our budget to the Board of Selectmen, and we have to be prepared to speak in front of that group.
Well, when it comes to our paid staff, our per diem staff, as we like to call it, most of the time we do look for a certification already. Volunteer basis, you don't need anything. We will train, like I said, the on-the-job training. We look for experience levels. We look for good recommendations from any of their, usually on the application they'll list credible references. And we will check their references to see, do they belong to another department, what's their standings at their department, how long have they been an EMT or an EMR. There's 2 different levels, certification levels.
We think the top 3 would be time management, ambition, and confidence.
To do my job, you need very good time management, organizational skills, and have to be very hands-on and just be versed in agronomics. But for my employees, it's what's not really school-related and not. Organizational skills are extremely important. Technology is extremely important, and just really good work ethic. I can't stress that enough.
As far as sales and management, you're going to need more education, I think, especially with the way technology is just exploding. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I can't even keep up with it, and I don't try with the Facebook, the tweets, and the Twitters. But it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
To me, it's a necessary evil. To you guys, it's just necessary. but it is a big one.
Yes, it is.
You know, people send out these immediate tweets. I was just talking with our accountant who owns a couple of liquor stores. Mm-hmm. They'll send out tweets about all these special beers that they've got in stock, and they just get all these responses left and right. And so technology plays a big part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at any point in time, like for instance, this product here is a shave soap. Knowing what it costs you to make, knowing what it costs you to sell this at after you pay a sales commission versus a retail price point, you need to know how much profit you're going to make on each one of these that you sell. So the financial aspect comes in every single day, which in our world all comes back to a profit margin and profit dollars back to the company. So without the financial aspect, knowing how to calculate this, you could be selling a product and never making a profit, which ultimately would make your company go out of business.
Hardworking, honest, on time, dependable, and they can learn.
Well, no, everybody has to be responsible. You have to be responsible for all your actions that come forward. You know, I think the biggest mistake is when something happens and somebody does something, they know that they did it, and then they say, "I'm sorry for what I did." Well, you weren't sorry at the time you did something. You know, responsibility is a big thing, and I think if people are more responsible, more accountable for their actions, things would be a lot better. If you did something wrong, admit to it. Don't lie about it.
How they answer you, how they can communicate. Do they speak coherently?
Mm-hmm.
Is it one-word answers? Well, if you're hiring for customer service, a one-word yes or no, that doesn't really work too well.
Right.
But then again, you don't want somebody that's so cocky and condescending that he's going to tick off everybody if you'd hired him.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll take a while, and you just try to have that conversation. If in that conversation, one of the first questions that comes up is, what does it pay? That's probably not the person I'm looking for, because they're not thinking of a career, they're just thinking of a paycheck.
Is you have to be organized. So, you know, if you're a discombobulated person, this is not the job for you. We are constantly dealing with contracts. So, you know, you've got to keep track of contracts, you have to understand contracts, you have to explain them to your clients. So, you also need to be very analytical for that same reason. You have to be very patient, because we deal with people all day, and everybody is different. Every personality is different. Every person's needs and wants are different. And honestly, oftentimes when people are purchasing a home, it's not just a financial decision, it's an emotional decision.
Communication skills. I think that's a big thing with any job. Being conscientious, make sure that you're following up on everything.
You know, you always hear the word leadership, but it's so true. If the person's a leader, they take initiative, and that's one of the things I think when I'm interviewing young people for jobs with recreation that I value greatly.
Every day is a challenge because everything is so different every day. Nothing is the same. It's not like when you go to your regular job. This is what you do. Boom, 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 boom. It's right there. You know what. And then you sometimes jobs you almost know what you're going to do every day. Here you don't.
The administrative role is more challenging. It's paperwork. It's dealing with every single person here, making sure that our schedules are filled. And making sure that everybody has the proper training that they need, keeping up with all of the paperwork. That's probably the most challenging right now.
Like many companies, dealing with the end consumer or trying to keep a sales force motivated in trying times. For instance, whenever there is a recession or a downturn in business, keeping a sales force motivated, keeping their morale up, keeping them in a positive light about your company. For instance, many times a company can be shipping at a 90% fill rate. If your fill rate drops, the customer that receives your products on the daily basis is not happy with your company, which in turn relates to a sales force that's not making money because they are not, many sales forces get paid on products that are shipped in. So for instance, if you're shipping a customer $1,000 in product, they may make 15% on that $1,000, so they'll make $150 on a 100% fill rate. If you drop in shipments down, say 25%, their income is cut by 25%. So the biggest thing is keeping the morale level up for all people that you work with, whether it's internal colleagues or as well as your outside sales force.
It's a constant change, and so sometimes things are very unpredictable, and we get thrown curveballs a lot, where suddenly something will fall apart. You know, we'll be in the middle of a real estate transaction and somebody will lose their job. And so now they don't have the financial means to buy a property. So that's, you know, that poses a negative challenge to, you know, to sometimes a change in my day.
We feel the most challenging aspect of this job is running our own business and balancing our personal lives.
I think sometimes, you know, the long days, you know, so sometimes it's, you need to, you know, just walk outside and freshen your mind, or you have to break the rhythm, you know, because when you put yourself in a work environment, you just stay focused on it. Sometimes you just need to get up and do something fun, you know, just to, you know, so we break up our day with exercise, we break up our day, maybe I'll make a phone call to someone. It's like when your sponge gets full, you got to rinse it out. So sometimes that just makes you more productive. I think it's like when I was a student in school, every hour I had to get up for 5 or 10 minutes and give myself a mental break and move around a little bit because it refreshes you.
Hands down would be supervising staff, and I'm probably not the only person in a sort of management position who would say that.
But probably the biggest, if I were to say a negative challenge to my job, is the me time. Because when you think of a traditional 9-to-5 job, you know, you go into work at 9 in the morning and you leave around 5 o'clock, and then you have your evenings and your weekends to yourself. My job can be a 24/7 job. Mm-hmm. And so, as I said earlier, sometimes, you know, I have clients that need me late at night, they need me on a weekend. You have to be available for them. And that really cuts into me time.